It's time to join Montana's very own and your voice for agriculture, Talkin' Ag Lane Nordland, for today's Lanecast.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining the agriculture conversation here today on the Lanecast Ag Podcast in conjunction with the Western Ag Network. And today we are at Arntzen Angus Ranch in central Montana. We're going to be joined by the Arntzen boys here today. But before we jump into this conversation about some leaders in the livestock business, we just want to give a big shout out to our friends at HerdWatch. HerdWatch Cattle Management Software. You can download the app today to increase productivity and maximize profitability today. Just visit herdwatch.com for a special offer on your first 6 months utilizing HerdWatch. But hey, it's a beautiful day here in Fergus County, Montana, and I tell you what, boys, it's sale day tomorrow. I can't believe you really agreed to let me come out here on the day before the sale and and a few hours before the dinner that takes place. But I guess for our viewers and our listeners out there, I just want to thank you guys for welcoming the Western Ag Network crew for coming out here. But first, I guess I should do an introduction. Usually I don't have this many guests, but first I'll start with Doug Arntzen. Doug, what's it like here as we get ready for your sale tomorrow?
Oh, it's coming on fast, but we're excited about it. We really feel good about the set of bulls that we're going to offer tomorrow, and looking forward to seeing old friends and a lot of new faces too.
Yep. And Keith, for yourself, how are things going here in 2024?
Oh, real good. And yeah, we're getting ready for a sale. I guess I'm getting a little used to it, and maybe not as nervous as I used to be, but no, things are going good.
Yeah. Well, again, thanks for having us out here. And Brad is the one that kind of twisted your arm to say, hey, Lane's showing up here. Folks probably didn't know exactly what we were going to be doing, but Brad Arntzen joins us. And how are things going for you today?
No, things are great, Lane. We appreciate you stopping by. And it's a beautiful day, and everything kind of comes together a lot better when we have good weather. Yep. So it's worked out pretty well. If there was a foot of snow, this might not work out. Yep. So. And
Derek Arntzen there. How's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, we didn't know what Brad was volunteering us for on this. We didn't know we were going to be on camera. But things are coming together, and we don't quite get things done till the very end, just like college. We procrastinate, but it'll work out.
Well, at least this isn't your first time on camera with me. I tend to torque. Third time, yeah. Right down the road one time, and then in 10,000 miles away in South America, I got you that other time. And Kevin, I guess I got you on camera down in Orlando at Angus Convention last fall, but Kevin Arntzen joins us. How are things going?
Well, it's been busy, but like I said, the weather's working for us, and there's a bunch of moisture coming behind it. That should lift spirits. Might get a foot of snow come this weekend, which is needed. The market's good, and a lot of positive vibes from people we're calling, and just excited to get tomorrow started. Yeah.
Well, again, I appreciate you guys letting us join you here today, and I just think your family has such a unique story in the cattle industry here in the United States. Everybody, and growing up here in Fergus County, I always saw the hats and everything like that, and the more I got active growing up and learning more about the cattle industry, the more I'm like, we need to get some of those bulls in our herds too. So we're going to be bidding tomorrow, by the way, too, on my father-in-law's end of things. But what has it been like for the past 5 decades to be able to build a family legacy through this? I guess let's talk maybe about what was it like growing up out here. Did both of you grow up right out here north of Lewistown? And so I guess what's it like still being here and being in business? Doug or Keith? Yeah, Keith, you can jump into that one.
Take that one first.
Well, the other day I did look back at some old abstracts, and our grandpa bought this place right here, 1943, for $10 an acre. And right after that, my dad joined him, and we joined my dad, and we just kept building and kept growing, and I guess we enjoy it and do it.
So $10 an acre, that I wish that was still a thing,
But I think it was probably hard then.
that was hard. I mean, and I guess and Doug, what's that been like though? Watching the family grow and being involved.
I think Keith and I both, we started kind of heading up the herd in the early 70s, and I think we're just so thankful to have the boys with their interest in doing agriculture and the purebred cattle. So real fortunate, it's real fun, and I'm kind of to a point where I'm plumb happy taking orders. Not ready to quit.
And for our friends joining us here today, maybe I should let you guys introduce your sons and maybe in the makeup of the room that we have here today as well. So Doug, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, Brad and Derek are my boys, and Derek's twin Eric couldn't be here. He's out tending the cattle right now, but I really think he maybe just skipped out. But anyway, that's my three boys, and my daughter Jennifer is involved in a Angus herd in Sidney, Montana with her husband Chad, and they just had their sale last week, and real excited about her and Chad and the girls coming over today.
My son is Kevin, and I've also got two daughters, Carrie and Kimberly, and they live close by and help us a lot and are involved in cattle also, and that's what I got accomplished.
Well, I think that sets the conversation up good as we talk more about the ranch and the Angus end of things and whatnot. But did you guys go to Winifred or did you go to Lewistown for school? What was your education here in Fergus County?
I went to Winifred, graduated.
Yeah, I graduated from Winifred.
Okay. And that's when they were just the Red Raiders. They co-opted like 2 or 3 years after that, right?
Yeah. We went to country school for a few years when in our early grades, but Winifred's kind of home.
We didn't ride horses. We had cars.
And so what was the closest rural school then that you went to before you went down to Winifred?
Christina.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and Christina, everybody goes down to Winifred now. I know they do.
They go there and then they stay there.
Yeah.
So when did your family get interested in the Angus breed? When did that start? Was it your dad or your grandpa? How did that start when we got into the Angus?
Like around 1955, our dad bought 5 registered heifers, and I think he was just kind of intrigued about it and started raising a bull or two and selling to the neighbors, and that's where it started.
And I guess, what did the neighbors think of that? Because back then there was a lot of Herefords out across the country. I guess.
I'm sure everybody, including our grandpa, was probably a little surprised. But Dad, when he got those Angus and he saw how they'd go out and rustle on the hills and maintain with minimum care, it was important to him.
So what were the traits of those first heifers that he bought? Do you remember that, or remember him talking about what he looked at there, and then versus what the maternal traits are today?
I don't really remember much on that.
He kind of got his start with Stevenson's in Hare, and they were two of the bigger outfits. And he liked to go to sales, and he liked to bid. And so he just kind of kept building up.
Keith and I always kind of joked about Dad at sales. He didn't spend a lot of time looking at the cattle, but he knew the guys that really had the good eyes and the knowledge, and he just tried to outbid them.
That's a good tip for first gens that are coming into the
You
business.
remember that?
I got a father-in-law that knows cattle pretty well. I have to keep up with him half the time, but I'd like to bid on number 2 tomorrow, but I don't even think I'll be able to even raise a hand by the time I can bid. But so as we look at that, what drove both of you to stay in the business?
Probably from my standpoint was our family. I mean, Keith and I both loved raising grain and cattle and hay, and as the kids grew out here and really didn't have anywhere else I'd rather be, so it just pretty much family.
Oh, same thing. Started doing it and liked it. I used to like to sit on a tractor all day and stuff, and we just kind of kept going and kept trying to build things and make things better.
So did you guys take any time away from the ranch, go to school, go to college, or anything like that afterwards, or did you know everything by then?
I went to college for 2 years, and then I got kind of tied up. Well, I got in the draft, and I got in Army Reserves, and after I got through with that, I didn't want to go back to college.
And Doug, for
Yeah, I
yourself?
did a short stint at Montana State, and then I transferred to Northern and took ag, and then the ranch, and when Keith left, the ranch duties, and it kind of made me want to get back and grab a gear.
Yep. And then we got three of the sons and cousins here sitting right now, and a little bit more on you guys. You know, Brad, tell us a little more about your role here at the operation, your family, and what it's like raising cattle here in Montana.
Yeah. No, I came back and I graduated in '97. Went to MSU Bozeman and graduated in 4 years miraculously, and got back in '01, and it just looked like there was a place for me to fit in at the time, and so I was pretty. I don't know. Sometimes I think I probably should have went and done something else, but boy, I really enjoyed it. So I came right back after that, and down in Bozeman I learned a lot of stuff, and it was interesting bringing it back. You know, Dad and Keith were really fair with me. They didn't just blow it all off, but sometimes they're like, here we go. It's just, I think they kind of knew, and you can't just tell them. They got to learn it. So they helped me along with that, and it went real. It was a lot of fun getting going. I was able to switch a lot more of the bookkeeping over to the computer. And we were doing some of that, but with the Angus business, there's just so much record keeping that we started working on the database program and building it and filling it and starting to move everything over to Excel versus scratch it on the back of an envelope. And so, yeah, I was able to find a niche there and I do quite a bit and I really enjoyed it. And it's been I still do a lot of that stuff. So I've kind of kept the same role.
And Derek, for yourself?
Yeah, I graduated high school in '03 and then went to Bozeman as well. Made it through in 4 years as well. I kind of regretted it. Thought fifth might have been good, but then I banked for that fifth year, and I wasn't built for staying in the office or sitting. So I moved on from that, and then I just came back and been here. There was an opportunity here. We had a guy working for us who was kind of moving on, and so yeah, we did that, and then we've had to find ways to expand, to keep all of us here. But yeah, and I was egg business for a degree, but I don't know, I do a lot of labor and I help with some of the book work and stuff, but no, it's been great, and yeah.
I took up aeronautics at MSU. I took up space. That's a Fred Hershey joke out of the big hole there for that one. Kevin, same question.
I was just a year behind Derek, so I graduated high school in '04, followed his footsteps to Bozeman and take up egg business and economics, and graduated in 4 years, moved home with intentions of maybe getting away and doing something different, but I just enjoyed it. Like when you grow up here on the ranch and live in it, it's not like you're going to work. It's just what you do. So I don't know how you beat a job like that.
I feel like I'm getting targeted here. When I got through in 4. I was 4.5, so I had to take that extra semester to become the homecoming king, I guess. But But as you mentioned, coming home, having that opportunity to come and work with family, I think that maybe leads us into the discussion of how the ranches operate and how Arntzen Angus Ranch and how the sale, how that works. Because the one thing that I hope our audience members get out of this is just the importance of communication and working together and having a vision and goals and running things as a business and not necessarily putting too much emotion in it, which emotions and everything, especially working with family. But I don't know who wants to maybe talk about that, but how did the ranch function at the beginning, and then how did you two as brothers work, and how did we get to the point where we're at here today, where your sons are involved, and how the family legacy continues?
You want to take that one, or you want me to? Well, Keith and I started out, we owned land together, but we also owned land separate. And the herd was all one herd. And as the kids have come home, we actually have 2 herds now, but we do a lot of stuff together. And the bull sale is totally a team effort. And the boys and I, when it comes to working calves and we'll put up hay together. We have some leases together, and then we have our individual property. You want to add to that, Brad?
No, I think that's about right, and it is, like when I came back, it was all one cow herd, but it was starting to get confusing. I was wanting to run more head and so then it was kind of all overlapped, and so we kind of went to where we were kind of doing 2 herds, but still, breeding together and doing a lot of stuff together, and then it's worked out well, and it's been just a great relationship, working together and buying bulls in common, running pastures in common, and really all the same genetics and breeding. It's not like one side's doing something completely different than the other. We sit down and make breeding decisions together and breed in bull buying and stuff.
I like to kind of call family in estate planning or succession family an awkward conversation that needs to be discussed and had. I guess what was it like when you reached that point where things were getting a little difficult and families coming back? What was that moment like? Was it something that just occurred? Was it discussions, or did something just come to a head and said, we want to stay family, we want to stay raising really good cattle, and this is what we need to do? I guess what was that process like?
Well, I think it was pretty easy, really. You could see that we had different ideas a little bit, and things were really easy to split up. We kind of split some land up and cattle, but we still have the same ideas on cattle. We use the same herd sires, and we promote it. We don't everybody's cattle, and it's actually worked really well.
Yeah, like when we sell these, I mean, we're promoting AAR. It's not my bull, Derek's bull. I mean, we sell them all. They're Arntzen Angus, and yeah, our herds are separate. We run them separate, but share genetics. We want to keep everything consistent across the line, and we must have similar eyeballs because we tend to agree on a lot of the genetic decisions we make.
Well, and there could be some people saying, that's just great. We're so glad this works out, but this must be the only family that can really do this out there. I guess what is your response to that? Maybe a tip on these families that maybe are multi-generational, and maybe they just need to and no operation's the same. But what's a tip that you have from your guys' perspective on it? Derek, you're kind of thinking there.
Oh, I'm thinking. I think a lot of it came down from Grandma Sherry, our grandma. I mean, she made sure everybody got along. She had a plan, and, she's been gone for a while now, but started with those guys, and they've carried the philosophy on. We've seen a lot of things that don't work, And, we're kind of all best friends and stuff, too, along with family, so you just...
Yep.
I know it doesn't work for a lot of people. It has worked for us.
I would add on that, Derek. One thing is that I look at it is it's like there's a lot of ways to get to the end. Like we've all got the same goal in mind, and if we get caught up in whose way we're going to do it, that's where it'll never work. Like if you're like, oh no, we're going to do it this way. They're all pretty much the same, So as long as we keep the same goal in mind, I feel that's what really we're all working towards the bull sale. Probably, is kind of the end of it all. You spend the whole year on that, and we're all working towards that. And if we all work together, it'll all be fine.
What did I see on Facebook that Kevin posted a few days ago that he wanted to switch over to Scotch Highland? Oh no, that was April Fool's, right?
No, she's out there. That's a pet project.
But as we get to this point, have you guys read the Industry Insights report that Angus Association put out that Cattle Facts and Angus Media collaborated on? Have you seen that report? It just came out, and I found it really interesting when I was reading that. 36% of cow-calf producers and only 38% of feed yard owners that were a part of this survey had a written succession plan. So we're cow-calf country up here. Only 36% had some type of plan in place. Why is that troubling for the future of U.S. agriculture when family businesses that are, especially on the livestock end, a majority don't even have a plan in place? I guess what's your reaction to that, Kevin?
It's scary because when you don't, and that's how these places, they have a family squabble, and then the only option is to sell it, and obviously there's the big money's going to come in and take the small the communities away. It's hurting them. As long billionaires buying up land just for hunting and taking it out of production. Got the APR to compete with, and it's scary because those are our customers. There's going to be fewer and fewer unless something changes, and we hope that like Stock Growers is working on something to try to build something to where it's easier and for the next generation to take over to keep these ranches in the family.
Yeah, what's your guys' tips to producers of all ages out there about having conversations and having some sort of plan that could be fluid or flexible? I guess how for folks to stay in business, you gotta have a place sometimes to put your feet up at too.
I would say open communication is utmost importance, and part of the deal. My family, I had 3 boys that needed to find a place on this ranch, and they all have a little different interests, but they all have the same goal. And Kevin and Keith have 2 exceptional employees that help them, and they help me too some. But we don't have a big plan. We just have a goal in mind, I think, and we work toward it.
And Keith, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the biggest things was the example. My dad died quite a long time ago, but my mom kept carrying on, and she wasn't afraid to. She didn't want to just keep it till she died. She wasn't afraid to sell stuff to us and help us, and that really helped.
Yeah. Yep.
Kept it going.
Now, when was your first big break, do you think, in the purebred into things? I know a name's kind of popping up right now. He's a Nebraska guy. He's kind of wily, named Bill Rischel. He kind of jumps into my mind. I've got to know him pretty well over the years, but I know he has a bull that he got from you guys that he was very proud of. But for you in the registered breed, when do you think your breakthrough moment occurred?
Well, that might have been kind of when it was. Before that, the big thing was to raise tall cattle. Cattle were too small, and they were all going tall, and they weren't paying attention to anything else. And then when we raised New Trend, well, he was a maternal bull, and boy, a lot of people really needed that. And it was really important for somebody like Bill Rischel to get him. He could have went to anybody. and he helped a lot of herds. And I think that was when people started, who are Arntzens? Who's Arntzen Angus?
What year was that?
Future End was born in 1981.
81, yeah.
And what year you were born?
5.
85. Just wanted to make sure a celebration or something after the sale. But
In a way, you got to have a break or two, but I always tell the boys, you can get lucky, but you got to give luck a chance to happen. So, I mean, we were trying our hardest, and we were lucky to get him in a herd and have people find out about him, and he did a good job.
We raised another bull later on, AAR Really Windy, and he went the Godley's ranch in Casey, Wyoming, and he was really made for calving and disposition, and he kind of put our name out there too, and they promoted him hard.
well, I'm going to stay on this line of questioning, though, but we are just going to take a quick sponsor break and thank our friends at Herd Watch, but we'll be back with the Arntzen Angus ranch family here right after these words. Less time on paperwork and more time on the things that truly drive your operation. Herd Watch allows producers to easily direct day-to-day management from the palm of their hand. Offering solutions for cattle operations large and small, Herd Watch simplifies record keeping and gives you data-backed metrics so profitability is at the forefront of every decision. Easily track calving, weaning, animal health, and access that information anytime, anywhere. Visit herdwatch.com for a special offer on your first 6 months. Herd Watch, simplifying farming. Again, a big thank you to our friends at Herd Watch for sponsoring our podcast today. And we're at Arntzen Angus here outside of Christina, Montana. If you don't know where that's at, it's near Hilger, near Winifred, if you're not familiar with that. There's a ferry nearby as well, or north of Lewistown, and just south of the DY Junction. Again, before the break, we were discussing 1981 is kind of a year that sticks out for you both. And what were your goals up to that point when you were looking at having the perfect cow right then, and then having a bull to fit that cow's needs? What were you as brothers looking at then?
Well, we were always trying to raise cattle that worked for a commercial person. We tried a little showing, but we weren't very good at it. And so we just tried to make cattle that worked, that would help people, and that was kind of our goal.
And what was that like? Where were you going to find those genetics at the start there?
We looked to the Montana performance people like Dale Davis and Sitzes and Stevensons and Green Valley. Angus at Hobson had a strong maternal herd, and we looked to a lot of the performance tested cattle.
And what was that like, though, being back in the business there, where there was some really great industry folks that really paved the way for so many, but there's a lot more registered guys around nowadays too. But what was that like, though, going out there? And because this is a people business too. It's about creating those relationships, going out there looking at cattle, but also meeting people in the industry. What was that like there then, and then how has that progressed to today's climate?
Well, there were some breeders back then that were just really good people, and we were young and didn't really know a lot, and they helped us. And heck, I remember Jim Turner would take us places, and so there were some good people.
I like how you paused it. He'd take us some places. I don't need to ask where he took you either. But,
Keith got to go to the Y Plantation, and Doug had to stay home. They went there and brought a bull back, and Quonston Y, and he was a power bull and pretty fun.
what's it mean to you? I was lucky enough to join Derek and other Angus breeders down in Argentina for the Argentine Angus Association Centennial Celebration and Show down there, and we'd be interviewing those folks down there, and they'd be like, we have seats, Arntzen, and we had our interpreter. What does that mean to you when you hear that your genetics not only are just down the road here in Montana or across the nation, but are having an impact on cattle herds all the way down in South America?
Well, I think it obviously makes us proud, and we feel we're making a impact in central Montana too, and we really want to breed the cattle that'll work on our ranch, and fortunately they work for a lot of other people.
And again, your bread and butter are the commercial cattlemen right
Yeah,
down the
absolutely.
road too, and whatnot
Absolutely.
too. But I thought it was pretty cool when we're down there, and they know your family, they know your genetics and whatnot, and very interesting trip down there, no doubt. We think politics gets a little crazy up here. They couldn't even export their beef when we were down there. But so kind of taking that conversation from the next generation's view of it, how have you grown off of the foundation that your grandpa, your grandma, your dads have set for you to continue that legacy and the pride and creating cattle for the commercial producer out there?
Well, I would say, like, when you like looking back, again, this is kind of when I was kind of young and just starting out and going through the Angus Journal, starting to dig in, and some of the bulls that I'd find, I'm like, I think we should use this bull, and it's probably more of the show type that I was looking at. They had all these figures and big, powerful presence and stuff, and and we just had to work through why we didn't. I didn't push those real hard, but and it did come back to that just the cattle aren't going to work here. They're not going to be able to travel. They're not going to be able to breed up and stuff. And so it was pretty quick that I kind of became to realize that there's a reason that we breed the way we breed. And it's you breed to your environment. So.
And Derek, your thoughts on that?
No, I would say that. And just kind of follow right along with that. We've all kind of tried to do they let us test a few things out and learn why we don't do that, and they never turned into too big of a wreck, but they didn't last very long either. So then you just kind of come back full circle and you figure out, what got us here, and the maternal and the cattle that work in this area. And like Dad said, we're fortunate that our cattle that work in this area, they can work in a lot of different areas, and so that's been something that it's good to see.
I was pretty fortunate, as well as these guys, that we showed up and started making our breeding decisions. We had a really good base. These guys had exceptional. They pay attention to the docility, calving with performance, and then always focused on that mother cow. So basically, when we come home and started making some breeding decisions, we just don't screw it up.
But what's that like as a Doug? Maybe I'll point this at you too, because Derek brought it up though. Just what's that like as a dad, as a boss to let them try something out instead of just saying, nope, not going to work, that's stupid. What's that like as a dad, but then also a learning opportunity too?
Yeah, I don't think either one of us feel that, we want them to just head their direction pretty much, and we know where they're going, so we're quite comfortable.
And what's your bit of advice then for these three sitting here too that have kids, and when we look at that too, but having that foundation in mind, but also maybe letting them try that out too, something out. What's your tip to your grandkids, or for them as parents, but then as that next generation maybe comes on board?
Well, they're getting involved in 4-H and FFA, and on the weekends they help us brand and put up hay in the summer. I guess I would say all their dads are real committed to them getting out there and helping. That doesn't mean they can't play basketball.
They play basketball in Winifred? So I guess my question is when you're looking at making those genetic decisions and what's going to be next for the herds, and what may be the latest and greatest. And we see it all the time. There's a lot of successful seed stock guys out there that they go with the latest and greatest, and they go with that for a few years, and they move off and move to something else. I guess what is the philosophy of Arntzen Angus when you're looking at creating those cows for the producer, fitting the environment. What is that decision making like? And when you're looking at that and maybe staying with the tried and true, but also, trying other things out and seeing what works. I don't know who wants to field that, but I'm just curious to what the family answer will be on that.
Well, one thing I would say is I kind of remember back when Dad and Keith's letter, like when I first started working on the catalog, one thing that they had on there was that they don't chase fads. And that was the word, and that was a really good point that, we're not going to, because in the Angus business, there's so much promotion going on. There's always something new that, whether you're chasing this dollar figure or this trait, some folks turn into kind of single trait selectors, and they create a lot of problems. And we've always just kind of had a balanced approach, and we try to bring this up a little and bring that down a little, and never really trying to go too far. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's been a really good way to look at it, and looking at the overall, more the phenotypic of the bull in so many ways, more so than the EPD profile. But when you are looking at the EPDs, a really balanced set of figures there that you're going to have to work with.
We've been doing a pretty good job of, taking a trip, going, looking at new herds, something different, to try to find new genetics to bring in. And I think it's always important you see the mama cow behind that bull before you're going to incorporate him in your herd. And sometimes you see that mama cow and then you just go a different direction.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we like to just get out and see as many as possible and then make our decision from there.
What's been the biggest change you think in the maybe we'll stick on the Angus end of things. What are some of the biggest changes, and I don't want to get negative either, but maybe what's some of the positive changes you've seen in the Angus breed since this is your 48th sale, is that correct, this year? 48. Okay, but I guess what are some of those positive changes you've seen?
Well, when we started, all we had was a birth weight, a weaning weight, and a final weight. And most of it was done well, we think, just by looking at stuff. And now look at that's one of the big changes, and that's where the boys are better at going through this stuff than we are. But that's been huge.
And looking ahead, what do you think are going to be some of the positive momentum that the Angus breed has from the association view, from the breed itself, or the data and the science? I guess what is and I want to ask that of all three of you. Where do you think the business is headed with some of the resources that are in place?
Well, I think Angus does a good job in a lot of ways, and I think as they provide these new figures, people need to remember that it's just another tool. It's not the only way, and it's not a final answer. It's just trying to help you make a better decision, and that's how we really look at these. And so, there's numbers that have come on that don't really pertain to us. We don't really even pay much attention to them, but for someone else, it might be a really big deal. So, I do feel that as they continue to do some of that type of stuff and improve on that, it's going to help us to make better breeding decisions and hopefully be better predictors of where they're going to be going.
Derek?
Yeah, I would agree on that. And, with the genomic testing now, whole herd reporting, and hopefully the whole herd reporting will, ultimately lead to more focus on improving maternal traits and stuff a little bit more. There's so many Angus cattle and so much information there that they're kind of, they're in the driver's seat for most everything, But yeah, they're tools. And there's a ton of numbers there and people maybe don't like them, but you just look at whichever ones you care about. So there's a lot of things to look at there that help people make a good decision. So
one big thing was that with the DNA identifying like cattle susceptible to disease or the pap cattle or these, I think they're gonna find markers where they can prevent some of those finished cattle dying a week before they're ready for slaughter, and that could be huge for profitability of a feedlot. And that's just one example of a DNA marker they can find.
Well, I guess what is your take on some of the branded programs and verification programs too? How does that beneficial? And not just, I'm thinking more for your customers, for those commercial guys that do have Angus herds and whatnot. How do you see the marketing of that continuing to grow?
Well, excuse me, like the one that I guess that pops out the most to me is certified Angus beef, and so like with us, we raise about, I don't know, a little over 500 bulls. And then we take about half of those to the feedlot. So the other half we band and we sell most of them to my brother-in-law down in Nebraska. And, that certified Angus beef premium is such a big deal for him, and the cattle work great for him, and it's been a great relationship, sending them down there, and we get some carcass data back, and we don't hold him hostage, and he doesn't charge us for it. So it's been a good one there, and so we can kind of turn some of that in and see where we are and where we're going. And so I do feel that's as certified Angus beef just gets bigger and bigger. I mean, they do such a good job that I think that's going to continue to be such a driver. And
do you want to jump in on there? I don't want to hold you back.
Oh, I guess as far as the branded programs, they're more and more important all the time, and it's all coming from the consumer end. People want to know more and more about where their meat's coming from, and I think that's not going to change. It's just going to get more and more important.
Now, is it going to be your signature female sale? Is this your second or third year that you'll be doing that this fall?
Be our third
year.
Yeah.
How did that come about to really provide a platform for your customers that have high quality genetics that stem from your family's herd? What was that conversation like in developing that sale?
We wanted to do something for our customers that had these good herds and give them a little, premium that they deserve for, heifer calves or bred females. And we talked about it for a lot of years, and we finally just pulled the trigger on, probably one of the worst years ever. With a drought, and all the cattle from that first sale basically left the state. Yeah. But we got through it, and it went well, and I think they are seeing a little bit of premium, and it should only build on itself, and customers should do better all the time. So,
how many head sold last fall?
It's around 700, or I think around 700.
And when you look at that, though, what are your customers saying that have that opportunity to market through that?
I think they appreciate it. We advertise, we market it, and we put stuff in there too. And it's a way of getting them a premium on their females, and so I think it's been well received. It's been also a tough time getting a lot of females, because now people are trying to rebuild.
Yep.
But no, I think going forward there seems to be a lot of optimism with it.
Mm-hmm. And can you believe what we're getting for slaughter cows and bulls, though? I saw one down in Iowa, a bull sold yesterday for $4,000.
I saw that.
Pretty exciting times.
I mean,
you know what our first sale averaged? $680. We were riding high.
Yeah. But isn't that just, it's just wild to see what these are doing. I mean, we had some cows we had to run through there up at Western the other day. It makes a guy sick that you got to take a cow through that lost a calf, but it's kind of nice when you are having to buy some replacements to replace her. But in your experience in the industry, obviously weather is going to be the predictor in that herd rebuilding, but I don't believe we're going to see a rapid expansion like we saw in 14, 15, and 16. And from a seed stock side of things, how do you take that into account when you're looking at continuing on with good genetics? Because I think sometimes people just start selling whatever they have, and then they have to rebuild though too. So how do you learn from that and over the years, and what are your thoughts on what the herd rebuilding may look like?
Well, from what I hear, it is slower rebuilding, and people are still liking beef, and I feel pretty positive.
Yeah, we've got a lot of customers in central Montana that have been hit by drought and grasshoppers, and and including ourselves. And, you know, we need to rebuild some ourselves, and I know a lot of other people do too. So, you know, the weather's a big factor, and we're excited about the forecast, and we had a great hay crop last year, so pretty upbeat about everything.
You know, I should mention the Angus Tour makes its way around this way again this fall, middle of September, I believe, right on top of the National Public Lands Council meeting. So we're trying to navigate that one. But I guess being able to, because is that on a 6 or 7 year seven-year rotation? And that would have been the last time I was out here at the sale ring. But I guess what is that like, putting that together and showcasing not only AAR's cattle herd, but all these producers here in central Montana? What's that like, and what's it go into planning one of these tours too?
It takes care of your summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, we start preparing basically when we send them to pasture. We start thinking about what we need to bring back and showcase, and it's a lot of work. And it seems like there's 300 people here. They're here and they're gone right away. But it's not very many opportunities where you can get 300 sets of eyeballs on your cattle at one time.
Yep.
Even if they're only here for an hour, it's well worth it in my opinion.
I always think about what a good friend of Keith's and mine said about the Angus Tour, Pat Goggins. He said, "It's a great way to get your shop cleaned."
Yeah, no, it's a great opportunity to have a lot of people here. This will be the second one that I've helped with putting on. Brad put on the one before that. Now Kevin's going to be a big part, and my wife is the biggest part. She keeps everything in order, and she's into. I mean, it's stressful, but even saying you start thinking about the summer. I mean, it felt like there's even more pressure on your breeding decisions and stuff when you have that opportunity to have all these people coming, that you kind of want to, have a couple new ones that kind of get people talking. So.
Well, and there's learning experiences from former tours. It's probably don't take the outhouse on a really windy road. What, was that up north, right? That was
One thing, Lane, we have that golf tournament the day before the tour starts.
Oh, I remember that.
We'll expect you to be right in the front and center.
Like I said, it's either going to be Russell or I. We don't know which one of us is going to be in Colorado, but I won a putter. I won that Odyssey putter for like longest putt.
Kind of change your game?
Oh, I'm dang right.
Mini golf now?
Well, I mean, I always tell everybody, I forget what year it was. I think it must have been 2014, 13 or 14 there. I got a hole-in-one down in Bozeman at Cottonwood, and then I got a 29-hand in cribbage on New Year's Eve that night. And so we had to go to the bar to see if I could get a shake-a-day before we went out to the fairgrounds with the Wacom boys playing. I did not get the shake-a-day, though. I tried to get the trifecta, that's didn't happen. But since I have a hole-in-one, I'm a pretty big deal,
I can't say I have one.
But you're a way better golfer than I am. But like I said, we're Western Ag. We got to figure out our travel schedule there too, because we got to be at Angus Tour or at the Public Lands Council in Grand Junction, Colorado. That's great country down there. But what are the dates on that? 17th to 19th September, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, and MontanaAngusTour.com is a great resource. But there's folks from all over the world that come to this.
Yeah, we just got news that there's tour groups coming from Estonia. I want to think of all the countries. Argentina, Paraguay or Uruguay. I mean, there's like 5 different countries going to be represented.
Is Estonia just north of Argentina?
It's in Europe. I did have to look that up. It sounded like an African country.
Hey, I do. What was it like getting to sit on Shaquille O'Neal's shoulder for a picture down in Orlando? That picture where he sat you on his shoulder at Angus Convention?
That did not happen.
Oh, I could have swore that's what the image was.
I wish I would have got my kids introduced to him, but by the time I realized it was him, he was gone.
I didn't see him. I went to bed and behaved that night, and everybody else got to go see Shaq out going to the basketball game. But he is such a tall individual. Like that picture, was it you had or somebody had that picture? or was it Stevenson?
Stevenson,
Yeah,
yeah.
Berta had that picture where there was a chandelier or something on the side of the hotel there, and I went outside and looked at that, and his head was above that. I'm like, man, he is. I wish I could have saw him and Barkley go at it back in the day on the court to really appreciate how big he is. But, speaking of that, though, how important is it, though, to be active and to be able to attend things like the Montana Angus Tour, make your way down to the American Angus Convention and just, meet with your peers, but also see what else is going on in the industry genetic-wise?
I'd say it's very important to, visiting with other breeders, and PR works half the job, but it's obviously it's fun, it's a fun part of it. Getting out there and meeting people and learning about their operations, and same with the getting out and seeing your commercial customers. That's what we're so fortunate in this business. We get to know a lot of fellow ranchers, and that's probably one of the funnest parts of being in this business.
Mm-hmm. I know we got customers probably coming in to look at bulls. I don't want to hold you up too much longer. We're coming up not quite an hour here, but Keith and Doug, from your perspective, what's a tip you have for those commercial producers out there, just about what they should, what you can provide them, and what a resource what the ranch is as well when it comes to helping them create a herd that's going to make them money?
Buy good bulls that are going to help them and improve their herd, and I don't know.
I think most of them pretty well know what direction they want to go, and we have a lot of successful ranches that we are fortunate to be able to work with year round, and it's stock growers is obviously an important tool, and Derek's involved in Farm Bureau, and it does a lot of great stuff, and go to as much stuff as you can, but we're lucky we have to trade off. We can't all go all the time.
And from your perspective too, I guess what is something that you just in your mission of continuing AAR, what are some things that you just want to continue to do for those commercial customers out there?
Well, the one thing I guess I think that we do that's most important is probably we work really hard on our bottom end. We cull the bottom, and we don't. It's kind of no nonsense, and that's when you keep those bad cows around, they grow exponentially, and you never get rid of them. So that's what I feel, that having a strict culling system is the best. And but I think people just need to stay the course and just keep doing what they're doing, and I think I really do think it, and we've said it so many times, but it's all works around the mother cow. You got a good group of cows, you'll stay in business.
Yeah, having for our customers, maternal bulls that are going to leave them trouble-free cows. I think that's the best way we can make them more profitable. Starting to sell 3-year-old cows because of various temperament problems or foot problems, that's a big hit. Some longevity, that's what I think, we really focus on, is that mother cow.
Very true. Derek?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, maternal's number one for us, and I think that's a lot of why people come here. We've worked really hard at trying to, and bulls that we bring in are very maternal, and feet and udders, and and disposition is huge, and that's something we work really hard at. So.
Final question: what do you think bred heifers are going to bring in the fall of 2024? Any guesses? Do we want to throw the dart at the board here?
I have no idea, but I wish I had a bunch more to sell. I know that much. I think it's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
I think it'll be more than last year.
I think so too. Well,
and last year wasn't bad.
No.
To the buyers, they'll be cheap. To the sellers, they'll be high.
Yeah.
We're excited for our customers. A lot of them selling the early video sales, and I think we're pointing in a great direction right now for profit.
Well, that's one thing, I always say we wish we had our cattle herds of yesteryear with what these prices are, but we also understand it takes a little bit of a smaller cattle herd to get these prices too, but we can at least get some debt paid off yeah, with these prices, and we can't quite kick our feet up all the time, but it is good seeing these well-deserved prices where they need to be. But hey, I'm going to let you get back to your day here. Just anything you'd just like to share before we let you get back to. Maybe I calmed you down a little bit. Maybe I took your mind off of the sale here for the last hour. But anything that you'd just like to share? Yes.
We all have wives and really supportive, help us. They do a lot in our business. Yep. And that's been good.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a super team effort putting this thing on, and everyone's involved.
Let me. How many family members are involved in let's just say, for sale week or whatever? How many family friends involved does it take to put on the sale that's going to kick off tomorrow? And I want you to list every single one of them and thank them. No.
I don't want to miss it.
I'm joking, but
We'll
It's
have
a lot.
20 or 25,
Yeah.
probably more.
Probably more than that.
When you get the crew in the
The
back.
crew out
maybe
back
40.
and
Got a top-notch crew all around.
and it's a national holiday in Winifred, right? They shut the school down, right?
Not quite.
school's a little emptier.
Yeah, I figured with the new gym and everything, Norm would have put a sale ring in there for you guys to maybe run.
Wouldn't have been bad. I like it.
Well, again, thank you to the Arntzen family for letting us interrupt their day. But again, good luck with your 48th sale that's going to occur tomorrow. Obviously, this show will come out after the sale, but we appreciate you taking the time telling the story, and hopefully our friends can take a little bit away from this and hopefully better their operations out there. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lane.
Thanks a lot, Lane.
Thank you. Well, friends, thanks for joining us here on the Lanecast Ag Podcast. Again, a big shout out to our friends at HerdWatch for helping us bring you this conversation today on YouTube. Of course, we got YouTube video as well, Apple Podcast, and also we are going to be checking out all those different podcast platforms as well. But it's amazing. We have video with the podcast now as well. Make sure and subscribe, share, and we look forward to catching you next time. I'm Lane Northland. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lanecast with Talkin' Ag, Lane Nordland. For more on Lane, check out his Facebook page, Lane Nordland Ag Broadcaster, and NordlandCommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lanecast on your Apple or Android devices. We look forward to joining you next time on the Lanecast.